something occurred to me. It's already May and I kind of forgot to do the best books of 2021 video. So here we are. Hey, what's up? My name is Daniela and welcome to a new video. So as I said, today we're going to talk about the best books of 2021 because yeah, I never talked about it. And I don't even have a top 10 for 2021 because I only had 3 5-star reads last year. So I did top 7 and 4 of those 7 are 4-star reads. So that's a bit of a bummer, but nonetheless they are all amazing books and they're definitely worth talking about. So as for some stats, so 4 of these are adult, 2 are young adult and 1 is middle grade. And then for genres we have 3 contemporaries, 2 fantasies, 1 literary fiction and 1 classic. And then this I find interesting, so 3 are from authors I'd read before and 4 are from authors that I hadn't read before. So obviously it pays off to revisit your favorite authors. And then 3 are from 2021, so new releases were a hit and 4 are older. 6 were physical and 1 was an ebook. Actually, looking at the list now, I can see at least 1 that's like, it was okay. And I no longer have like strong feelings about it because yeah, I don't know what kind of year 2021 was reading wise and otherwise, but I know that this year is much better, at least reading wise, and I have a lot of 5 stars. So this is just some fluke and yeah, I don't feel strongly about some of these, but anyway, the order is going to be approximate. They're kind of ordered but not perfectly, so we're going to go from the bottom up. So number 7 is The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren. So Christina Lauren is an author duo and they are one of my favorite authors, and this is an adult romance about a single mom named Jess who works as a data scientist and she's freelance and she's not dating anyone and hasn't dated anyone for a long time, and yeah, she's kind of hesitant to get back into their world, but she encounters a man in a cafe and he's all broody and kind of Mr. Darcy vibe, and like her friend is much more like talkative and stuff, so she approaches him and turns out that he leads a company that like match makes people based on their DNA, and first she doesn't want to be involved, but then like she gives them her DNA sample and she gets matched with him and they are the perfect match. So this was a really fun romance. You kind of got the Mr. Darcy element, being like, oh my god, he's so rude and horrible, then maybe he's not so horrible. So you got that enemies to lovers there. And then I also really liked the data element and how they grappled with the experiment, like was it correct, like what does it mean. So it was all very fun. It's definitely one of my favorite books by Christina Lauren, along with Josh and Hazel. So yeah, if you're interested by books by this duo, I would recommend this one or Josh and Hazel. Then number 6 is Girl, Women, Other by Bernardine Evaristo. So this is a literary fiction book and one that is a bit hard to talk about because I don't read literary fiction all that much anymore. And so this is basically a collection of stories about Black, mostly women in the UK and their stories and experiences. There isn't really a plot. It's really like a deep dive into the characters and kind of their backstory of each of these people, and eventually their fates intertwine. Yeah, we get to meet a bunch of people and at the end most of them meet, and that's one of my biggest problems with this book I had, was that like there were many characters, I think around 13 characters, and with a lot of them we learned like their whole family history, like about their parents and how they got in the UK or what did they do, sometimes grandparents. So it was just like a lot of names and characters, and by the end I didn't remember the stories from some of the previous characters that well. So I think that the final effect wasn't as strong as it could be, because yeah, about some of these I was just like, okay, who were you again? What was your story? So yeah, in that sense it was a bit overwhelming. It's also written in an interesting style, so there's like little interpunction and just like paragraphs that keep going, and just like stream of consciousness kind of. And yeah, I thought it was going to be hard to read, but actually it was pretty easy. Like once I got into it, it was just yeah, as I said, many characters, and the literary fiction language made it a bit hard to read, especially because of the fact that like I tried to read quickly. In the back it says, "This is Britain as you've never read it. This is Britain as it has never been told. From the top of the country to the bottom, across more than a century of change and growth and struggle and life, Girl, Women, Other follows 12 very different characters on an end-to-end journey of discovery. It is future, it is past, it's fiction, it is history. It is a novel about who we are now." It was definitely a very unique book, and obviously I would recommend it. I'm not sure if I'm ever going to reread it, but I'm kind of interested in checking out other books by this author. Then in spot number 5 we have Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Elston. So this is the one middle grade book on the list, and yeah, I feel like I don't read middle grade much, but if I pick one, it often ends up on like the favorite list. So this is the middle grade magical school book we needed. So we follow Amari, who is 13, and she's being bullied at school because she's black and poor, and her brother went missing, and obviously she really wants to find him. And one day she's approached by someone and is given a message, and eventually she gets the chance to enter this magical school, and she only joins because it will give her a chance to save her brother, hopefully. And at the new school she still faces discrimination, but she also finds a really nice friendship, and yeah, it is a really heartwarming magical story, and there's the quest and intrigue, and yeah, it's the first in a series. The second one is coming out this year, so yeah, I'm really excited to continue, and it's definitely a really promising middle grade series. Then we have Emma by Jane Austen. I finally read it last year, yay! So this is quite long, and it actually took me a long time to read this because I was also in a reading slump. So in this we follow Emma Woodhouse, who is a really strong-headed character, but she's also quite judgy and pretentious. She thinks she's really clever and that she's really good at matchmaking, but turns out she isn't that good at it, and it leads to some hilarious situations. Well, depends on from whose perspective, but for us readers I think it was pretty hilarious. There are also some riddles, which was an amazing element, and yeah, the whole book was just really amusing and entertaining, and like it, for me it was obvious like who the love interest is and like who she's ending up with, like right off the bat, and I was quite rooting for them. I can see that like in my Goodreads review I wrote, "A man is visibly infatuated with her. Emma. Yeah, he totally loves my friend." So this got me a bit of a similar feeling as Pride and Prejudice, except for the fact that when it came to do like eccentric characters and like mundane conversations, Jane Austen really went for it in this one, so it really went to the extreme. So Pride and Prejudice is still my favorite one by Jane Austen, but this one was really good, maybe a bit too long, but yeah, I think I'm going to reread it sometime in my life. Then at number 3 we have Rise to the Sun by Leah Johnson. So this was an absolute delight. This is a young adult contemporary romance, or just a story with a romance between two girls. So it is set at a music festival, and these two girls meet there and they strike an unlikely alliance to win a singing competition. A lot of stuff happens during the weekend, and we also learn about their school life and other life, so it deals with grief and anxiety. There's also asthma rep and just a bunch of deeper topics. It is kind of a love at first sight, which some people don't like, but I really love it, and I really love the atmosphere and how they got to know each other and everything. So yeah, this was such a perfect summer read. Then at number 2 we have Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo, and it actually feels weird. I don't own it, so I should look into that and maybe buy myself a copy of Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. So it is the second in a duology, so I won't talk much about the plot, but before reading that I actually reread Six of Crows to prepare, and suffice to say that by the time I was reading Crooked Kingdom I was very attached to the characters and very much rooting for some ships. I think it's probably the best book in the Grishaverse. It was really epic, very entertaining. The atmosphere was amazing. I loved the far-fetched plot twist and everything, and yeah, I just adore the characters. I'm very glad I continue with the series because I only gave 4 stars to Six of Crows the first time I read it, and maybe the second time as well. But yeah, I liked Crooked Kingdom even more, so definitely worth reading. And then number 1, can you guess what it is? Probably not, but it's Taking In Dani Brown by Talia Hibbert. So this is book 2 in the Brown Sister series, and look at the tabs. I really liked some of the places. So yeah, this is book 2 in the series, and we follow Dani, who is a researcher, and then we have Zaf, who is a security guy, also a romance book reader. And yeah, it's a romance between them. We have the fake dating there. There's also anxiety rap, and it also talks about like when someone is focusing on their career maybe a bit too much. And it's a lot of fun. There's steamy scenes, and yeah, it's just an absolute delight and my favorite book in the series, although Eve was also really good and I really need to reread Chloe. But yeah, my favorite of the bunch. You really need to read the series finally if you haven't, because it's definitely worth it. It's one of my favorite, not only romance series, but like series in general. Definitely give it a try. So yeah, these are my favorite books of last year. Have you read any of them, or are you intrigued by any of them? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!